Hi there, this is Charmander, and in this video, I'm gonna be ranking the leader heroes as well as the overall heroes in Doomsday Last Survivor. Now, my criteria for ranking this specific heroes is gonna be different from other YouTubers who have done the ranking thing. I'm not ranking them based entirely on their combat ability. I'm also gonna be ranking them on what they bring to the table, how often you're using these heroes, how useful they are. So even if they're a farmer hero, but you're using them every day, they deserve to have a much higher rank than the typical D's and F's that they get because they're not a combat hero. With that being said, we're gonna start off with Hank, and Hank is a solid D hero, so he is absolutely awful. His first skill is called Fire Eating Grenade, and it deals direct damage with a damage factor of up to 4,500 to the target and causes burn damage for the next 5 seconds with a damage factor of up to 900. Deals bonus damage to garrison squads for up to 3,500. His next skill is called Gunfire Symphony. It increases damage dealt to Lookout Tower by up to 30% during siege. Also increases the amount of resources raided by up to 10%. You know what? This is funny, but this might be an okay ability actually if you're like in one of those alliances that goes around the map taking resources from inactive shelters. Next skill is called Sinful Pleasure. It's a passive skill where the squad's basic attack have a 10% chance to deal bonus damage of up to 3,200 during a siege. His next ability is called Grenade Toss. It increases the squad capacity by up to 12% and rally capacity by up to 12%. So I guess back in the days when this game first came out, this was okay because you would have a bigger rally capacity and also a bigger squad capacity, but nowadays Hank just doesn't bring much to the table. Last skill is called Explosive Tempo. It's a new skill. It's a passive skill where the basic attacks have a 10% chance to reduce the target's damage by 8%, defense by 20% for 3 seconds. So again, an awful awakened skill. Next hero we're gonna go with is Peter. So Peter is a leader hero, and he goes also on the D slot. So there you go, buddy. You are a D. His first skill is called Baikal Splendor, and for the next 3 seconds, every basic attack has an 80% chance to deal additional damage to the target. For the next 3 seconds, every basic attack has up to an 80% chance to deal additional damage to the target for a damage factor of up to 4,500. His next skill is called Raging Blood. It's a passive skill that increases squad capacity by up to 12% and rally capacity by up to 12%. I know some people like to use this, but overall, it's not that useful just because Peter is such a terrible hero. Next, the third skill is called Bloodthirst. It's a passive skill. If there are 2 or more types of troops in a squad, increases squad attack by up to 24%. His fourth skill is called Drunken Rage. It's a passive skill that increases squad defense by up to 15% during a siege. Also increases damage dealt to Lookout Tower by up to 30%. So I guess back in the days when you're attacking other people's shelters, this is pretty good, but nowadays it's just not that useful anymore. And his awakened skill is called Wartime, which is a skill enhancement of Baikal Splendor. After awakening, for the next 3 seconds, every basic attack has a 100% chance to deal additional damage to the target for a damage factor of 4,500. The next hero on the list is going to be an overall hero, and he is going to be Martin. And I'm going to put Martin actually at C. The reason why Martin is a C hero is because he is actually decent at farming zombies. So he is a zombie farming hero specifically. Early in the game, you can also put him in your team, and he could do some early game healing with your heroes. So for that reason, he has a slight early game utility. His first skill is called Dogma Salvation. It's a rage skill that deals direct damage to the target with a damage factor of up to 7,000 and heals the lightly wounded units in your squad for up to 40% of the damage dealt. His second skill, which is probably his best skill, is increasing healing effects on squads by up to 35%. Third skill is called Holy Protection. Increases EXP gained by the squad leader assistant hero by up to 50% and their HP by up to 12%. So again, this is mainly good for zombie killing. Fourth skill is called Divine Grace. It's a passive skill when healing is received, increases squad defense for up to 45% for 3 seconds. This effect can be triggered only once in 6 seconds. So this skill is not bad. His awakened skill is called Transcendental, and it's a skill enhancement of Dogma of Salvation. And after awakening, it deals direct damage to the target with a damage factor of 8,400 and heals the lightly wounded units in your squad for 45% of the damage dealt. So this one's okay. The next hero on the list is going to be Jaden. So Jaden is gonna get a C also. So Jaden is actually also a good hero for zombie hunting, and he's also a decent hero early game to add in your squad. It does take him a while to awaken. I have him nearly awakened right now, so he is a decent hero for a free hero in the sense that he's free and you can eventually awaken him after nearly a year of playing this game. His first skill is called End's Awakening. It's a rage skill that deals damage to the enemy with a damage factor of up to 8,000 and reduced to up to 4,000 when acting as vice general. So you definitely want to have him as your leader. At the same time, reduces defense of the attack squad by up to 25% for 3 seconds. His second skill is called Desperate Escape. It's a passive skill that increases damage dealt to zombies by up to 25%. When attacking a zombie, there is a 10% chance to heal slightly wounded squads by up to 1,500. His third skill is called Omen of Disaster. It's a passive skill. When using a basic attack, there is a 20% chance to reduce skill damage taken by up to 25% for 3 seconds. So this one's not bad actually. His fourth skill is called Zombie Herding. It's a passive skill that increases squad attack by up to 12% and defense by up to 12%. Again, another decent skill. And last but not least, Wasteland Eulogy. And this is a skill enhancement of End's Awakening that deals damage to the enemy with a damage factor of 9,600 reduced to 4,800 when acting as Vice General. At the same time, reduces defense of the attack squad by 30% for 3 seconds. The next hero on the list is going to be Lee. So I'm actually going to be putting Lee at B, but honestly, he's more of a B plus hero in my opinion. And you could argue for A also. So I would say early to mid game he's A, but late game he drops down to B. So the good thing about Lee is he has an amazing debuff skill and he definitely has a role to play even later in the game. So he's not completely useless even though he's been out for a while, and he's still good for a lot of people that needs a debuffer in their team. His first skill is called Brutal Blow, which is a rage skill. Pitches a spinning fastball, dealing damage to up to 5 target squads in a fan-shaped area in the front with a damage factor of up to 3,800, reducing target's attack, defense, and HP by up to 30% for 2 seconds. So this is what I mean by debuff. This is an amazing debuff actually. His second skill is called Energize. It's a passive skill that increases squad's damage dealt to zombies by up to 25%, heals some lightly wounded units after killing zombies with a healing factor of up to 3,800. His third skill is called Koshian Star. It's a passive skill when leading 2 or more troop types, increases squad attack by up to 24%. His fourth skill is called Counter Current Swing. It's a passive skill that reduces counter damage taken by up to 14%, and increases rally capacity by up to 12%. Last but not least, his awakened skill is called Dead Home Run, which is a skill enhancement of Brutal Blow. Pitches a spinning fastball, dealing damage to up to 5 target squads in a fan-shaped area in the front with a damage factor of 4,600, reducing target's attack, defense, and HP by 35% for 2 seconds. So his awakened skill is definitely a very good debuffing skill. Next hero on the list is going to be Maxine, and I'm gonna make this extremely controversial because everyone puts her at C and D, but Maxine is an S tier hero in my eyes. Now, the reason why she's an S tier hero, as crazy as that sounds, it's not because of her fighting, it's because everyone uses her for farming every single day. And she has an amazing awakened skill, which I'll talk about in a second. Her first skill is called Invasive Attack. It's a rage skill that deals direct damage to the target squad with a damage factor of up to 7,000 and reduces target squad rage by 50. Also reduces target squad's damage by up to 13% for the next 2 seconds. So this one's okay. She's not meant to fight, so not really that useful. Second one is called Overload. It's a passive skill that increases squad's food and oil gathering speed by up to 36% and wood and steel gathering speed by up to 24%. Also increases squad load by 25%. So as you can see, she is one of the best heroes in the game for gathering food and oil. Her third skill is called Keen Perception. It's a passive skill when gathering, increases squad attack by 25%, defense by 25%. This one's kind of meh. Like I said, she's not meant for fighting, but I guess the defense kind of helps when you're being attacked while you're farming. Her fourth skill is called Lucky Break. It's a passive skill where you receive an additional 15% additional resources when gathering is complete. Again, this is really good. That additional 15% really makes a difference. And last but not least, this is why she's an S tier hero, is because when you awaken her, she gets a new skill called Homecoming. You gain a bonus reward after gathering at a resource node. So when you complete a resource node that is level 5 or 6, you actually get a treasure box, and some of the items in the treasure box are really good. Mainly the speed ups. Can you imagine there's a hero that gives you speed ups? This really adds up when you go to special events like Top Commander, where you have to use those universal speed ups. So those special boxes alone that you get on a daily basis adds up, and you get a decent amount of speed ups after some time, which will help you later on in the game. This is why she's an S tier hero in my eyes, and she is an S tier hero for a farmer hero. Next hero is going to be Sarah Vandermeer, and I'm gonna make her actually an A tier hero. So she's an A tier because even though she is probably a better farmer than Maxine, she doesn't have those special treasure boxes that Maxine gives, but she's still hands down one of the best farmers in the game. Her first skill is called Logging Timber. It's a rage skill that deals damage to the enemy with a damage factor of up to 7,500. It increases your squad defense by up to 30% for 3 seconds. Her second skill is called Forest Ranger. It's a passive skill that increases gathering speed by 24% and food and wood gathering speed by additional 15%. So as you can see, she is, if not the best food and wood gathering hero in the game. Her third skill is called Partner Assistance. It's a passive skill when gathering, reduces the ratio of heavily wounded troops by up to 15%. When leaving the gathering point, increases engine squad travel speed by up to 60% for 10 seconds. This is amazing because she moves super fast. So if you're bouncing between nodes, she is going to be moving super fast in between those nodes. Her fourth skill is called Off-Road Patrol, increases squad load by up to 40% and engine squad travel speed by up to 30%. So again, this makes her very fast for escaping people that's trying to kill you when you're farming in a more hostile battlefield like Archipelago Raid, for example. Her awakened skill is a skill enhancement of Forest Ranger. It's called Parental Love. After awakening, increase gathering speed by 30% and food and wood gathering speed by additional 18%. Also receives a 10% additional resource when gathering is complete. So yeah, this makes her a solid A, if not an A plus farmer hero. The next hero on the list, and in my opinion, the best leader hero in the game, is Bianca, and she is S tier. So Bianca is someone that you can pair up with so many different heroes like Adat or different rider heroes because she also moves pretty fast. She's also good with the new upcoming hero Badala. So overall, she is an amazing hero for just buffing the team. I would say she's also pretty good with Ribbon actually. Her first skill is called Queen's Troop. It's a rage skill that increases attack by up to 38% and defense by up to 38% for you and nearby allies. This lasts for 4 seconds. Also instantly restores up to 60 rage to them, which affects up to 3 squads. So as you can see, this buff is already broken. The second one is called Queen's Trap. It's a passive skill that increases squad defense by up to 24% and travel speed by up to 20%. So this makes her more tanky and also makes her move really fast. Third skill is called Queen versus Pawn. It's a passive skill that increases squad attack by up to 20% and increases basic attack damage by up to 20% if the remaining squad size is less than 50%. So this is probably her worst skill because of the second part, but the first part of the skill, the attack percentage increase, is very good. Her fourth skill, and in my honest opinion probably her second best skill, is called Queen's Defense. It's a passive skill that every 10 seconds grants a shield with a shield factor of up to 2800 to you and nearby allies that lasts for 3 seconds and affects up to 3 squads. When awakened, her skill is called Queen's Gambit. It's a skill enhancement of Queen's Troops, which increases the attack by 42% and defense by 42% for you and nearby allies. This lasts for 4 seconds and also instantly restores 60 rage to them. This affects up to 5 squads. So this is an amazing awakened skill because it affects 5 squads instead of 3. Last but not least, another S tier hero is going to be Victor, although maybe he's kind of sliding down the ranks nowadays, maybe to A+, but I would say he's still S at this point. So Victor is one of the best leader hero in the game and also considered to be one of the best garrison hero in the game. His first skill is called Body Weapon. It's a rage skill that deals damage to the target with a damage factor of up to 12,500. If garrisoning, increases this skill damage by 15%. He dishes out a lot of damage when doing garrison. His second skill is called Evolutionary Leader. It's a passive skill that increases own squad attack by up to 17% and increases squad HP by up to 17%. So again, this makes him strong while being tanky at the same time. His third skill is called Supervisor Privileges. It's a passive skill that reduces skill damage taken by up to 17%. When squad contains 2 or more types of troops, increases squad attack by up to 20%. So I think this is good if you're trying to garrison, but you're running out of like a specific garrison type. So for example, if you're doing infantry, but you're running out of infantry troops within your alliance or legion, then people can start shoving different troops in there and you can gain an additional attack. His fourth skill is called Survival of the Fittest. It's a passive skill. When garrisoning, increases squad HP by up to 20%. Basic attacks have a 20% chance to deal additional damage to the target with a damage factor of up to 1920. So again, this makes him extra tanky and also dealing additional damage. His awakened skill is called Natural Evolution. It has a skill enhancement called Body Weapon, and after awakening, it deals damage to the target with a damage factor of 13,750. So again, his damage really spikes up here. If garrisoning, increases this skill's damage by another 20%. So as you can see, he's a monster damage dealer when he is doing garrison. So that's about it for the leader and overall legendary heroes in this game. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.